Good morning. Welcome to Bagels in Business. My name is Jen Morgan. I'm the Virginia program lead for Riot. I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of Riot, and then we'll have you all introduce yourselves. So, there we go. So Riot, we are a nonprofit 501c3 economic development organization that's really focused on job creation in the technology sector broadly. We take a really broad approach to the term technology because we're in the 21st century. Everyone's using technology in their business in some capacity. We're also interested in exploring new and emerging markets, exploring these new technologies, and also helping businesses grow and scale. All with the goal of creating jobs to help everyone grow. So we mainly do this through two sides of our business. One side, we run a startup accelerator program and courses like Bagels in Business and our foundations courses that are open to anybody. And we also convene an industry consortium of about 90 corporate partners all across the technology stack. We really believe that every business is a technology business. We're all doing something on social media or on websites. We're gathering data in some capacity, and that data can help your business grow and achieve new things. If you're creating, hardware or software, you're a traditional technology business. If you're somebody who is working in the retail arena and you're trying to figure out how to capture new customers or just grow, you're also capturing data that can be used to help you in your business. So we're happy to answer any questions that you may have about how to utilize technology, but also how to just better benefit your business overall. So to kick us off, I'm going to have Tom Snyder on the line, who is the executive director of Riot, introduce himself and add any comments that he'd like, and then we'll go around the room on folks online, and then we'll end here in the room. So, Tom, will you kick us off?
Sure. Thank you, Jen. Welcome, everybody. As Jen said, I'm Tom Snyder. Founded Riot back in 2014, focused on trying to, help people to start their own businesses and help establish businesses to figure out how to leverage this thing. At the time, we were really referring, the buzzword at the time was the Internet of Things, which we have learned since then is not just like things, devices and sensors, but really the data they create, the analytics of that data, the visualization through like augmented virtual reality, analytics through AI and machine learning, all the things that are enabling us to use data in real time to automate agriculture, to automate transportation, automate energy, all that kind of stuff. So when Jen talks about this broad approach to technology, we just see a kind of a ground shift in the economy that is happening right now that is really similar to like the very early days of the internet, when that really transformed every business. We're seeing that similar kind of transformation happening now with AI and data. And so yeah, we have these different series, and I'm going to let Jen do most of the talking today, but we like this Bagels in Business series where we just cover different topics in different months, and like to get people together and help them connect. So I hope that after this you'll stay in touch with some of the folks maybe that you met today, and feel free to reach out to Riot at any time.
Thank you. I'm going to go down the list. Dan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good morning. I'm Dan Wilson. I am a longtime software product developer, commercializer, product marketer, and I donate my time to select startups in the area. So if you need some product marketing help, reach out after this meeting and let's see if we have a fit.
I'm happy to send around emails if you guys have anybody in particular you'd like to reach out to. We don't typically just send the list out, but if there are specific things, we can make these introductions. So
folks can introduce themselves in the chat too if they want to leave their email for other people.
Yes. Emily.
I was muted, sorry. Zoom faux pas. Good morning. My name is Emily Lofton, and I am part of a small family private equity firm based out of Texas, but I live in the RTP area. And we are working with some small technology startups. We currently have some investment in tech, but we are always looking to engage with new entrepreneurs and existing ones who are looking for any type of investment, or if they're looking for M&A conversations, we're open to that as well. So thank you.
We'll come back to you, Gordon. Greg. Welcome back. John.
Morning, John Richardson with Blanton Commercial. I'm actually a commercial agent, so I help startups find their first location or expand to a second location or more.
Welcome. And Steve.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Steve Feller. I've been working with startups for the last several years, kind of on the business operations side, background in technical development. And right now I'm kind of in between and weighing the pros and cons of either starting a startup or looking for one that's doing interesting things.
Cool, welcome. Gordon or Greg? Okay. Go ahead.
Jason with Red Door. We're kind of a hybrid. We have a several-year-old family business doing exterior cleaning, but we also have kind of a newer startup doing exterior lighting and things like that. And we're always looking to add more business startups. We've kind of got one going and come up with every year. We've been dry floor coating business last year, so kind of looking for the ideas for next year and then how to grow each of them.
Welcome.
Kyle Oline, Director of Economic Development for Stafford County.
Hi, I'm Liz Barber, Economic Development Manager at Stafford County.
Well, welcome to Bagels in Business. I'll be upfront with those who are joining us online. You all are behind me, so if there's anything that you have questions on, please stop me at any time. Just feel free to interrupt. And Tom, if you can help me, if there's anything that I need to pay attention to online, we got this. So we're here to talk about what makes a good pitch. High level. A sales pitch is the messaging framework that you use to lead your audience, whatever audience it is, to a particular action. An effective sales pitch should be a two-way street that adds value for both parties, both you and the potential customer or the audience that you're speaking to. As much as you're trying to sell your product or service to whomever you're speaking to, you also want to make sure that that person is selling themselves to you, making sure that they're a good customer, because you want to build a customer for life. Not everyone is going to be your ideal customer. We all know that there's a million places to buy shoes. Why would I buy shoes at Walmart versus Nike? Like, those are very different customer bases that you're trying to appeal to. I learned very early on that I go through boots like nobody's business. And so it doesn't behoove me to buy a $150 pair of boots every fall if I'm going to wear through them no matter what. So who is your customer? What are you trying to reach out to? Your sales pitch, you're always pitching. You're always talking about your business, what you're doing, what you're working on. And every conversation that you're having, you're trying to figure out, is this person somebody that I'm going to try to build a long-term relationship with? Or is this somebody that I'm going to send somewhere else because they're not the right fit for me? So there's two main conversations around that sales pitch. The first is inspiring someone to take the action, AKA qualifying your lead. In our last Bagels in Business session, we talked about the difference between a lead and a prospect. A lead is anybody in the world who you're trying to figure out, are they the right fit for me, for my business? Are they going to make a good customer? And you want to try to find in that conversation, okay, they are a good potential customer. Now I need to have that follow-up conversation with them, which brings us to that second point of directing someone to that specific opportunity, AKA moving that prospect, that qualified lead, to an actual customer. So now that we know that they're the right fit for our business, how do we get them to convert into that customer category? Any questions or commentary around that? Okay. The number one thing your business must do is solve someone else's problem. I'm pretty sure I've had this slide in every single one of these presentations because it truly is the foundation of business. A good sales pitch is really more about listening and understanding that potential customer rather than talking about your business. You're trying to inspire them, you're trying to get them to take an action, figure out if they're the right fit for you. So ultimately, are you solving their problem with your business? Back to the shoes. I mean, a lot of pairs of boots can solve my problem, but if I know that I'm going to constantly be going through them and it's not financially sound for me to buy the $150 pair of boots every fall, that's not solving my problem. How do you figure that out? How do you ask those questions? So what we're going to dive into a little bit today. So it's time to start selling your product or service, but how do you convert someone to be that actual customer? And what's the difference between talking to a potential customer or talking to a potential investor? When talking to that potential customer, you're really learning from them what they need. Asking questions about what's their day-to-day activities like. If you're trying to sell B2B, what is their role in the company? What are they trying to accomplish? If you're trying to sell B2C, business to a customer, what are their daily activities look like? What are their goals? What are the metrics that they're responsible for? What do they prioritize in life? What kind of problems are they facing? Where do they see that pain point really be? And then what's their overall budget? I think a really good example that we use is around daycare. If you're trying to find a new daycare for your kids in the area, there's lots of daycares. They're all booked up, but there's lots of daycares. What does that daily activity look like for that person? Do they have to be at work by 6 a.m.? Well, they're looking for a daycare that's open by 5:30. Are they trying to find something that's on their way to work? Are they willing to go, 10 minutes in the opposite direction if it fits all these other needs for them? What are their financial considerations? How much are they able to spend each month? And figuring those things out in those conversations and saying yes, we're a good fit. Now let's talk about how do we convert you, or no, we're not going to meet your needs, but here are some other options for you. That builds a good trust and relationship around that customer that will help them think of you in other situations, even if you're not the right fit for them. Once you've determined that someone is qualified to buy your product, it's time to talk about your unique value proposition, AKA what makes your business different than everybody else's. Daycare, there's lots of them. Why would somebody choose your daycare versus somebody else's? What makes that transition in their head of this is what I want, this is what I'm going to buy, this is how I'm going to spend my money? Any questions? So, quick script template example kind of thing. Opening and introduction. Nobody likes to be sold to. Nobody wants to feel like they're being sold to in every conversation that they have. So how do you make it personal? How do you have that conversation with somebody? Starting off with a greeting, starting off with, that overview of who you are and what your company does. Having that kind of personal conversation of how's your day going? How's the weather? Where, what's going on in your life? Try not to make it super I'm going in there with, a sales pitch in mind and everything's super scripted. How do you have that personal relationship development time? Some I wrote out my own little script, so I'm gonna read you my little sections as we go through this for the opening introduction. It can be as simple as thanks for taking the time to talk to me today. I'm looking forward to learning more about you and your needs and your business. I don't want to hold you any longer than we agreed to, so how about I first tell you a little bit about me and my business, and then you can give me some context about you. Sound good? Simple opening introduction to kind of move them through. Agenda, kind of giving that 1 to 2 sentence segue into the questions component around all of this, giving them, you know, clear set goals of like, this is what this conversation is intending to do. So with that in mind, I'd love to hear more about, you know, your business after I tell you a little bit about mine and move into those kinds of conversations. It can be high level, it doesn't have to be intense. They're just trying to learn from them. Listening is the key component here. Those discovery questions, back to the previous slide around learning about them, learning about their goals and metrics, learning about what they're responsible for, ultimately getting to what's the problem, what are their pain points, how can you potentially help them? And then finally, closing. This is going to go 1 of 2 ways. One way is that you're going to close the deal, or you're going to have a follow-up conversation with them, or you're going to find out that they're not a good fit for you, and you're going to try to like do something else with that person. Being able to know in that conversation that those 2 things are very real possibilities either way is really important, because I feel like a lot of times we want to always have that customer no matter who they are, but not everyone is going to be that perfect customer.
Hey, Jen, would you mind a couple comments on this?
Absolutely.
So from my experience with early stage products and companies, they tend to get really optimistic about who their ideal customer is and become afraid to kind of limit that. And so like I've had people tell me that their competition, that they don't have any competition. And that's certainly not true, because their competition can be do nothing to solve the problem that's in front of them. And if they don't understand why a company would choose to do nothing, then it's going to be difficult to find the right kinds of people. So, you know, I think that as an early stage company, it's really important to find focus and who you're going after, and understand what is the real pain that customer has, and what are the symptoms that they might have where you're not a good fit, and embrace the fact that you're not a good fit. Like, it is a success to end a meeting and say, my product is not right for you. And that little mind shift, I believe, is important, because if you believe you have a great product, it's not going to be for everyone. You want to find the right fit, and knowing that you can disqualify someone earlier in the process next time is going to save you time and help you get more focused on the deals that are right for you. And I feel like a lot of companies struggle here. I just wanted to call this out, because there's a lot of meat in this slide and the previous one that for a company that doesn't focus on this, they're going to spend a lot of time doing activities that aren't productive.
Totally. I think that no matter, you know, what business you're going into, figuring out who your target market is and who your customers are is vital. And they're not going to look the same as every other competition out there. You might be producing shoes and, you know, the world is your oyster, everyone wears shoes, but okay, who do you know, who's in your circle of influence that you can start with and then start to branch out from there. And that might look very different from me to you to whomever, and figuring out, okay, well, I'm producing shoes that primarily are for women because that's who is in my sphere of influence, compared to Kyle, who might be producing shoes for men. Same thing, same products, but very different target customers in how that works.
If I can add, Jen, a little bit on what Dan was saying and what you've been saying as well. I think that one of the things to keep in mind is like the best sales pitch is just simply like, yes, I can do that. And you get to that pitch by understanding what that need is, that, the slide that you had about solving the problem. And so I'll caution folks, sometimes we already have our product and we're just trying to sell it. And maybe in a sales role, you don't actually have any control over changing that product. But by asking questions, by qualifying that lead, figuring out, are they really a prospect that can convert to a customer or not? They may not be an ideal fit, but if you're finding over and over and over again, you have not the ideal fit, but a common problem that's not being solved, like that's where maybe you say, you know what, I need to adjust my product to where the market is. And so, the best companies are kind of always evolving what they're doing based on what the customer is asking for, so that then you can say, yes, I can do that. And so sometimes if you get too stuck in, I have this product, I'm just trying to find someone to buy it, you lose sight that maybe your product is no longer relevant in the market, or you're looking in the wrong place.
That's also vital as an entrepreneur to figure out, okay, is this actually something that the market needs or wants and will pay for? Or am I just barking up the wrong tree completely and need to change markets, or just completely scrap the idea and do something else?
Even in retail environments, right? When somebody walks up to you in a retail environment, the first thing they ask is, how can I help you? So that they can get to that, yes, I can do that, versus they don't just walk right up and say, hey, why don't you buy this product? They don't even know anything about you yet, right? So asking those questions is important.
Shifting a little bit, I really like this graphic when we start to talk about investors and how they play into the entrepreneurial pitch. I find a lot of conversations with entrepreneurs always lead to, oh, my biggest problem right now is that I need investors into my business. I need somebody to pay for something. And what's the first thing that an investor is going to ask about you? They're going to want to know, okay, well, is there any traction? Have you proven that this is going to make money? Going to that first, investor, instead of actually building and trying it out in the market, is definitely backwards. So, some tips for pitching to those investors. The goal of pitching to the customer is to help them determine why your solution will solve their problem. Investors don't necessarily need the solution for their problems. They want to invest in a business that screams money for them. So when you pitch your business to these investors, they are the decision makers, the financial executives, and they're not necessarily looking for that problem solution fit from a problem solving component, but also from a, will this produce revenue? So looking at, why do you need this cash? Being able to tell them what exactly you will be doing with that money in your pitch deck to them. What kind of return can they expect? Back to that traction component. Where are you seeing that this is already making money that will help them continue to make money, and their investment will grow and exponentially provide a return on their investment? And then at the end of the day, they're also going to be looking for an exit strategy. They're going to be looking for ways for them to get out of this and reinvest that money in something else. It's a cycle. So being able to set up and know that in advance of this isn't always going to be there, and they're not always going to be there. So how do we continue to build our business through that process? Pitching to an investor is similar but different to pitching to a customer. At the beginning, they want to know the problem and the solution, and why is this a big deal? What problem are you solving for that customer, and why do they care about that? And then ultimately, what is that solution? Defining out who your target customers are, being able to very clearly identify, these are the people that I've proven traction with, and what is that market size? How large is that? If you've proven traction with 5 people, but they are 5 very specific people and nobody else in the world will ever buy your products except for those 5 people, are you actually going to be making enough money to be sustainable? You might be selling a $5 million product and 5 people is enough, but is it being able to identify that and explain that to your investors is going to be key. Looking at that traction in revenue, how have you proven to this point that you will be successful and that their investment is worthwhile? And what's going to happen with that investment? What will that capital do to prove that traction, to continue to show revenue and grow your business? Questions or comments around investors?
I'll just add that there's lots of different kinds of investors. And so there will be, I think the high level of what Jen's talking about here applies, but there's a ton of nuance depending on whether you're talking to a family office versus an angel group versus private equity versus corporate strategic versus, just trying to get debt equity from a bank, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's I think high level principles apply, but we would need more than just a bagel meeting to go into all the nuance.
Yeah, Emily, is there any comments that you'd like to add to this?
Yes, this is my world. I would say that's correct. There are a multitude of levels. I think one thing that's important for pitches to investors is to understand yourself of what you are willing to tolerate in the negotiation, because as investors, of course, we have opinions, but there is always a, contractual agreement of how much influence or how much equity you're willing to give up. So I think those are important things to think about as well, as far as, how far along you are in your business plan and rollout, can also dictate how much you're willing to, essentially share with an investment partner.
I think the other, like to Tom's comment of the different types of investors out there, there's the traditional, venture capital and angel investors, but then there's also FBDC grants and loans, there's economic development office grants and loans, all of those types of investors, for the overall terminology, are looking for that revenue model, that traction. How are you growing? What are you going to be doing with this money? They want to be able to see this as a success story. You're not trying to sell the product to them, but you're trying to sell the business, the overall, model of this is going to be successful. It's a different mind shift in how you're presenting things between a customer and the investor. So, yeah.
I mean, I was thinking too, just having done this in the past, one of the things that, going back to what was said earlier about there being an alternative to your product of do nothing. When you go into looking for an investor, you're not just selling your business. You have to realize that if they're investors, you're competing against other businesses that they might invest in that you don't know. So it's kind of that unknown competition again that you have to be aware of. So you have to differentiate yourself, not just this is about my business, but this is why we're a better investment than other options.
Yeah, that unique value proposition, what makes you different. There's lots of different types of home improvement companies out there. Why would someone choose you versus someone else?
And they may not just be looking at people in your sector, they may be looking at a tech company and
yeah.
So they're looking for, why your sector is a good investment.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. Well, with that being said, this is like an open discussion. If there's other things that you guys want to talk about, we are happy to stay on the line and chat about those things. This is meant to be just informal conversations and how we can grow and learn from each other. Emily, I have in chat, I'll make sure that Jason gets your email if you would like it. But in terms of what's next for us and for you all, some opportunities coming up is, we do our foundations program, which is a longer version of this and a little bit more in depth. It's free to participate in. You can do it in person or online, and we just have a registration deadline of September 22nd. Classes start the first Monday in October, and will be each of the Mondays in October, except for October 16th, because that is our annual demo night, which is our largest event of the year in Raleigh. It is free and open to the public. Our sponsors and partners will be demoing their cool tech. Really encourage everyone who can to attend this. And you can find more information on our website, so.
And we're gonna have someone from NASA giving the keynote that evening, talking about how to partner up on the Artemis project. So I'm actually speaking to her in about 25 minutes to lock down the final details of her talk, but that should be a ton of fun for anybody that's local to the Triangle area or not and just wants to travel in. Raleigh's a great place to visit.
Yeah.
Love to have you out that night.
And then next in our Bagels and Business series, our next class is October 12th. This will be a two-part class to wrap up this year. The first section, we will be covering tech in your business and how does that relate to your business ops and just your overall growth and development. So look forward to part one. And if you are not able to make it to part one, we will definitely have it recorded and posted online, and hope to see you in part two, and same thing for part two. So yeah, please feel free to ask any questions. We're happy to stay on, but if not, I hope you all have a great day.
Oh, I have one question. Is the in-person section here in the Triangle, or is the Bagels somewhere else located?
So Bagels in business, the in-person is here in Stafford for now. We're
Okay.
hoping we can expand that part next year. In terms
Okay.
of locations, we will have an in-person section in Stafford and in Wilson, North Carolina.
Okay.
Can I ask, so how many people online are in the Triangle area? I know Emily, you are. Dan, you are.
I'm in Pennsylvania currently.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the Triangle.
There's a few folks. Yeah, Jen, maybe what we could do is we could send out, not just to this group, but the last several groups that have attended, and see what the interest is, because certainly we could have one group up in the test bed in Stafford where you're at, and another group down at Riot Labs, and I'm sure we can figure out the tech to connect everybody together and still allow people to join remotely if they'd like.
Yeah, no, not a problem. Wonderful.
I'm sitting in our office right now, but it's empty because we didn't think to have two rooms. It's a good idea, Emily.
I mean, I just personally work remotely from my home. So anytime there's opportunity to be in front of people, in my business, I know that that's a much better way to make a connection. And I feel like it's much more valuable. Plus, for me, it allows me to leave a house with 2 toddlers. So anytime I can do that is
We can
top
make it.
notch.
In fact, I mean, we're in a co-working space. If you just need to get out of the house once in a while, let me know. You can come down and work from our space.
Okay, awesome. Yes, I will take you up on that. Thank
That's
you.
a serious offer. Yeah. We actually have a number of people that do that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
That'd be great.
Mm.
Thank you.
Conversation for sure. So
Yeah.
I'm on team Emily there. I'm a bit of an extrovert and I've worked from home since 2007. So half the reason why I like helping other companies is just to talk to adults.
Yep.
feel that.
Just-
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you all. I hope you all have a great day, and we will chat with you later.
Thank
Thank
you.
y'all.
Have a good day.
That's good.
Thank you.